like to express my sincere thanks to my friend Professor Lin Huang for inviting me here and giving me opportunity to talk about Korea's urban regeneration policy. And also I'd like to thank all those steps from Taipei City government. I think it's a very valuable opportunity to share Korea's experience of urban regeneration. And also I hope that my presentation will help you to improve your institution in your urban regeneration policy. But first of all, I'd like to outline Korea's urbanization experience. The left-handed picture shows Korea's urbanization curve. In the 60s, Korea's urbanization share is just 28%. But nowadays it surged to the 82%. And the increasing rate is dropped a lot these days. It means urbanization is now reached almost its limit. Now totally urbanization society. And left-hand picture is show the comparison between major countries. And this thick curve is Korea's one. And we can see Japan, China, Netherlands, UK. As you can see this picture, Korea's urbanization curve is the steepest among other major countries. That means we experience very rapid urbanization, and now we are reaching the limit.
这数字对于都市研究人大概会蛮重要，就是都市化的速度跟规模从1960年是28%的都市化人口，到了2010年之后是82%。那这个跟台湾的状况其实蛮接近的，就是都市化比例。那如果它右边是把韩国的都市化的速度跟规模跟其他主要国家相比，那其实大家可以看到曲线是最陡的，甚至比日本的这个都市化速度还要快。 只是它没有台湾的线条。
I think Taiwan also experienced very similar phenomena. Yeah. And why now we are talking about regeneration in Korea? So one background is diversified demand. In the previous years, 60s, 70s, 80s, the national economy is expanding in a very rapid pace. But nowadays, we have no strong demand for new development. Just like urbanization rate, our economy also is entered very low growth stage. Another one is there's a reflection on property-led redevelopment policy, which destroyed community, culture, and history. So we experience a lot of huge development and redevelopment in order to meet increasing needs of urban services, housing, road and railways, and water supply. We achieved a lot through this process, but at the same time, we lost a lot, like a community, culture, history from this process. So nowadays, we are thinking of more mature stage of urbanization, focused on quality-based growth, which is centered on human capital, quality of life. So now we're talking about compact and smart growth and green and sustainable growth as well.
这个在刚刚的图之后，从内容上来讲，其实就是韩国现在面临的状况是都市化的速度已经减缓，甚至饱和停滞。那面临的是经济成长、人口成长跟都市成长三个都趋缓的，甚至缩减的状况。那所以现在讨论的新的发展模式是他们叫 quality based， 就是以值为基础的这样的成长。那事实上是一个负成长的 低成长的状况，但是因为在脉络里面对低成长这个词其实还是有点敏感，所以他们用的是 quality-based growth。那在前一个阶段的这个地产导向的发展过程当中，很多的社区文化跟我们珍惜的这些价值是被摧毁。那所以现在讨论的是在一个以此成长的模式之下，怎么样再发展的政策。
Okay, one other reason that we are start to talking about regeneration is that the city is actually declining these days. Korean cities are declining in terms of population, infrastructure, and economy. When you see the left-hand side picture, this shows that Korean cities is declining. According to the survey of Land Ministry, 2/3 of Korean cities is now declining in terms of population and businesses. The red-colored area is it means declining city.
所以这个模式很不同，就是80年代我们还在讲是小农生长的年代，可是现在韩国规划里面最常谈论到是衰退这个字，那就是2/3的韩国城市都在衰退当中。那所谓衰退，包括人口、经济，还有一个很重要的是基础设施的衰退。
And this is major large cities in Korea: Seoul, Daegu, Busan, Incheon, Daejeon. But you can see also many declining places in even larger cities. When you look at the left-handed picture, this means is a population trend in the central area of large cities in Korea. Seoul, Busan, Daegu, Gwangju, Daejeon is the major large cities in Korea, but central area of large cities are now losing population, as you can see in the picture.
几个我们熟悉的韩国大城市，像光州、釜山等等其实都面临的这个市中心空洞化、人口流失的状况。
So nowadays we don't have strong demand for new development. Rather than we need to think about how to revitalize city center and how to revitalize city economy, how to revitalize city's community.
所以现在活化是关键字的。
And 2013, the national government enacted national regeneration and urban regeneration special law in order to respond this kind of policy demand. Yes.
2013年通过的这个法案叫做《都市再生特别法》。
So now we are experiencing policy shift from redevelopment to regenerations. In the previous practice of redevelopment, we focused on private sector initiative, and they're based on making profit from the development, and also they focused on physical development approach. But nowadays, in regeneration policy, we focused on public sector initiative, and we try to meet people's needs than profit, and also we want to take a comprehensive approach rather than physical approach. Comprehensive approach means we need to include social and welfare and economy, not only the physical development.
在这个新的模式之下，原来用再发展这个字里面所包含的私部门还有利润导向以及实施建设这样的取向，其实转化到再生，就是公共机构里面的角色以及处理需求，而不是处理利润。然后它是一个更完整的照顾到各个不同面向的一个取向。
This slide shows the major principle of national urban regeneration policy. The one principle is holistic approach. As I mentioned just before, we want integrate in this place. We want to integrate economy, society, and physical aspect at the same time. And we also respect community and history. And second one is we try to introduce policy with reinventing the urban policies, focusing on the inner city area rather than suburban new urban development. And also we try to, and the national government to try to restrict new development in suburban area, and then focused on inner city revitalization. And thirdly, we want to make integrated governance. So we encourage bottom-up planning approach, and importantly, we want to introduce area-based and integrated support among different government divisions. Under these principles, we set up the Urban Regeneration Special Committee under Prime Minister's Office for integrated approach. That means urban regeneration policy is not a policy of just the land ministry. It's a policy of nationwide, nationwide policy, and other ministries such as Environment Ministry and Agriculture Ministry, Cultural Ministry, Economic Ministry need to participate and need to contribute this policy. This is very difficult things, but we have we have this kind of governing body. So if the urban regeneration zone was approved in through this governing body, so many ministry is required to cooperate to this policy.
讲到这一点，好像是市政府的高层应该要在才对。因为他说这个都市再生政策其实是在那个行政院长底下直接成立一个委员会，所以因为这样他才能够处理跨部会的事，所以它不在于像传统，我想韩国跟台湾一样，都倾向于把空间把这样再生政策放到营建署啊，或者等等空间或土地规划部门，可是不是这一次它是一个跨部门的取向，所以整合了很多不同的单位。那主要的三个原则，第一个就是刚刚所提到的经济社会跟空间的整合性的取向，那它特别强调社区跟文化的重要性跟观点。然后第二个右边就在讨论，以前都是在扩张，可是现在是重新在看内层的旧市区的开发，那要限制新市区的发展，而不是一味往市郊把发展放在那边。然后还有另外一个很重要，就是他刚刚讲到说整合性的政府单位跨部门的合作。
Yes, I'd like to add some more things about this integrated governance. In previous years, there's many projects from different ministry, and this project comes in the local without coordination. So through this regeneration policy, we want this all kinds of project coordinated. So we welcome to attract a lot of projects in a certain area, but we want have in a very coordinated and planned way.
它其实里面还有一点就是说 bottom up planning 啊，就是因为它以地区为主嘛，所以有下有上的规划是很重要。不过它强调一点，就是刚刚所谓政府角色是以前就是政府制定很多计划，但是到了地区以后，它其实并没有中间的协调性不够。那现在特别强调协调跟整合，我觉得这个对韩国规划体系而言是一个很新的改变。
Okay, this is the planning structure of the regeneration policy. So we set up the national policy guidelines of urban regeneration. This is a national level guideline toward the local government and civil societies. Actually, I've involved in making this national guideline. And under the national guideline, the city government need to set up a strategic plan. It's a citywide urban regeneration plan. So which area is need to be regenerated, revitalized, and which area have what kind of problem, kind of things. Under the strategic plans, city governments needs to make activation plan. It's a very area, district, district-wide plan. So district-wide, very detailed plan for regeneration. So we will talk about detailed project and budget and what kind of actor participated, kind of thing in this plan. And there's basically two types of area. One is economy-based area and economy-based activation plan. The other one is community-based activation plan. We divide these two types because the characteristics of area is quite different. The economic revitalization area is area being able to create extensive impact on urban economy through redevelopment and reuse of key infrastructure such as industrial estate and port and railways. And this is a very key urban infrastructure, but nowadays they are losing their own functions. So by reuse of this infrastructure, we'd like to improve the whole urban economy. That's a key purpose of urban revitalization area.
所以这个图示你可以看到他们怎么样制定不同层级的计划。第一个呢就是准则方向哈，那刚刚有稍微解释一下3个方针，然后再来就要制定策略性规划，然后选定这些地区，为这些地区先做一个计划，然后再来是行动计划。第3个层是行动计划。其实，在行动计划之下有2个。第一个是经济的行动计划，那这个有一部分跟之前早先的这种港口啊、铁路啊、基础设施真的是类似，但是当一个地方的角色改变、经济要转变的时候，你其实需要相应的基础设施的计划。那右边是社区的以社区为基础的这个行动计划。
And second one is community revitalization area. This is the area being able to create a positive impact on community revitalization. Mostly in the residential area, so it's more small scale and community-oriented one. So government subsidy is also different, depend on the two types. The economic revitalization area is quite big, so up to $50 million for 5 years. The community revitalization is relatively small, so $20 million for 5 years. This money came from the national government and local government as well. So national government mostly, in case of economic revitalization area, national government is provide 25, and local government also provide 25. It's a half and half. The same in the situation in community revitalization area.
他说这个在经济计划跟社区计划，社区计划刚才没有来得及说明，它是比较小型嘛，那规模比较小。那可是两边的一样，都是经费有一半是地方政府，一半来自中央政府。
Okay, and so this is a result of our selection of areas. So in the 2014, 13 areas was selected. Among them, 2 areas is economic revitalization area, and other 11 is community revitalization area. And then early this year, so we selected designated 33 area more. There are approximately 5 economic revitalization area, and other is community revitalization area. So this is as you can see, it's just selected. So now we are push ahead with the project on this selected zone.
大家可以看到，从14年到16年，其实数字在增加，就是他们选的这个案例跟侦测的对象。14年的话，13个案例里面有11个是社区型的，然后有2个比较大的是基础设施跟经济的。然后16年数字我忘了。
Okay, this is an example of one the neighborhood in Busan. I picked up some slide from their applicants presentation. Yeah, when we select the zones areas, they experience kind of bidding process. They apply and we evaluate. So actually, I personally involved in this, evaluating process, and by central government, yeah. Central government actually selected the zone, the local government apply. So I'm working with the central government. So actually, I arranged the evaluation process. So I pick up in the presentation, pick up some slides from the area presentation. This is Busan, one neighborhood in Busan.
就是地方政府，因为要争取那25%中央经费嘛，所以他们要送案子去中央政府报告，然后他们中央政府会组成委员会去选这些案例，所以他找了几个案例来跟大家报告，是地方政府送上来的。
And they actually they present more 20 minutes, and then we ask questions, and they replied. And through this process, we evaluate their need and situation kind of things. They explain why this place need government money, actually, basically, and this is a very severe and urgent need. They kind of analysis the situation of the neighborhood is very steep, but infrastructure is very old, kind of thing, and the population is aging. Actually, this analysis of the situation in the neighborhood.
所以以浦山为例哦，因为那个坡度非常陡嘛，然后它是个海港，就是所以老人这个出入非常不方便，然后还有一些这个邻里基础设施等等的衰退的问题。
And also they researched the local assets to mobilize for urban regeneration. So they have this kind of asset. They have a library and they have social welfare facilities and they have schools and they have market. So they try to mobilize this local facility in order to promote urban regeneration.
所以不只是讲问题啊，他们也会讲说他们有的正向资产是什么，可以未来一起去发动行动计划的。所以各种像学校或博物馆或者是社区活动中心等等，也会在他们报告的这个资料里面。
And this is how they select their own project. So they gone through the many meetings with the residents and consultant process. They researched a lot, so this is a kind of process. They they came to select their own issues and projects.
地方政府也通常会报告说他们是怎么样制定诊断这些议题的。那这个过程好像是跟社区市民一起完成的，表示他有一些地方的网络跟支持，那未来会成为一些资源。
And finally, they propose many different projects to receive the government money, basically. So this is the title of project they want to proceed when they get the government money. So among them, there is a project from land ministry money, and among them there is a project from the other ministry, other than land ministry, cultural ministry, economic ministry, and also a project funded by the local government, and project funded by private sector. So basically, these are 4 different kinds of projects depending on funding source: the land ministry, other ministry, and local government and private. So they want these all kinds of projects how in this area and in very coordinated way. That's what they want.
所以他们报告真的很仔细，就是他们刚刚因为讨论，就是跟市民讨论过程之后呢，诊断出来地方所需要的资源跟这些计划。那这些计划他们会整理出几个主要的经费来源，除了地方政府的自己的这个Mission Fund之外，还有中央政府跟申请的，还有跟中央政府里面包括地震有关土地的部门，还有其他部门的计划，像刚刚谈论到像经济的、环境的。等等，然后还有一部分是如何从4部门的部分找到一些经费的资源。
So this is the entire project map. Each project now located in this area. So basically through this process, they presented what they want, and actually they are selected by the national government.
所以大家可以看到这个图，就是把他们所有的要做的方案都落在地图上，用这样的方式去争取中央经费。
This is how they proceed their project when they selected. So they want to coordinate many actors, local actors, and other public organizations. And this, okay.
他们同时也要报告说，他们如何跟地方的这些社区团体，还有其他的公部门的团体合作，一起去争取这个计划。所以在地方政府也是一个跨部会的一个网络性的组出来的方案。
And this is the effect of the project. The first stage, the project is funded by the national and local government, and the next stage, last stage, this project will not funded by the government. It should be the resident initiatives and the community initiative project. We try to turn.
时程方面，他们也会区分出不同的阶段，像釜山这个一开始是政府资源投入，然后主导，然后再来是民众的参与加入在里面。
Okay, this is the first part of my presentation, outlining the national urban policy, national urban regeneration policy in South Korea. Now we turn to today's real topic, the Urban Regeneration Support Center. Okay, and what is Urban Regeneration Support Center? This is basically intermediary organization, and it means organization that create added value by improving effectiveness of other organizations through networking and resource mobilization. And if you look at the pictures from Seoul City government, the organization, the Urban Regeneration Support Center, will help achieving policy goal by linking, the government and citizens. So this is Seoul City, and this is citizen. In the middle, there will be a center, Urban Region Support Center. So they'll link. So it said it should be the facilitator and manager and consultant and planner. They take the role, this kind of role, in order to mediate, the Seoul City and citizens.
所以听起来这个跟那个社区营造中心很像，就是它在地方政府跟社区中间扮演一个协调整合的中介的角色，所以里面它整合的规划者、专家以及经营的人等等。
Okay, this is basic concept of the URSC, and we, as I mentioned, we have a special law, Urban Regeneration special law. And in this law, the local governments are encouraged to establish this center for facilitating urban regeneration project. In this law, there's a few roles of the center. The one is supporting making strategic and activation plan and implementing related projects, and activities for coordinating interest among citizens in designated zone, and supporting establishment and operation of community business, and other related activity for urban regeneration. That's the role of the Urban Regeneration Support Center, written in the law.
刚刚讲到说，地方政府用计划去申请中央政府钱嘛，可是，在制定这个设立都市再生中心，在地方上设立都市再生中心是那个中央政府没有给另外的经费，所以这个是地方政府自己决定要不要设，但中央鼓励他们设。那他的任务就是包括制定这个策略，然后协调不同的市民跟不同区域之间的他们的一些利益嘛、兴趣，他们关心的事情，然后也试着去经营一些社区的跟社区的经济跟社区企业之间的关系。
But the important thing is national government provide urban regeneration project subsidy. It's money for the operating this organization. It's for project, but for project. But local government, when they apply the subsidy, they need to follow the instructions of the national government. So actually, it is an encouragement, but for local government, it's kind of mandatory thing. It became mandatory thing, in order to attract the national government money.
虽然没有明文制定，但是因为你执行这个业务，看起来就是需要一个这样的中心，所以也会变成好像是必要的。
But it's also true that if you have national government money, you don't need to establish the kind of thing. If you want to do your own money, so you don't need to care. Okay, then I'd like to continue the concept of Urban Regeneration Support Center. This is I think is a center for participatory governance. There is three key actors in participating the urban regeneration policy. One is government. When I'm talking government, it means local government, and also experts and civil society. But each actors have its own merits and demerits, and local governments have implementation capacity, and they have budget, and they can support easily from other public organizations. But they are very rigid in activities and budget operation because it's officials, administration officials, and also lack of expertise and lack of experience in community engagement. And experts, they have, experts means, the professors and researchers, and they have a professional knowledge. And sometimes they are very innovative, but they also have no money and lack of implementation capacity. And civil societies, when I talk about civil society, it means mostly activists involved in community revitalization. And they have knowledge in local society, and they are very flexible and innovative. They huge network in local society, but they have no budget. But basically, each actors have their merits and demerits, so it means they need to collaborate in order to facilitate urban regeneration.
在都市再生过程中，政府还有专家以及其他的社区的部门，其实各有长短处。所以这张表其实就会分析为什么需要一起合作。
So URSC was established to as a center for the participatory governance, where these different actors participate and share their knowledge and share their capacities in order to facilitate urban regeneration.
刚刚他讲到这个，我就觉得我们的社区营造的模型其实也跟这个很类似，所以我们其实运作有一些经验，就是主要这3个部门怎么样沟通协调连接，一起做事情。
And I think basically urban regeneration support center needs these 4 factors. One is flexibility. This center should act beyond administrative boundaries, because government behave very restrictive way, because they need to follow the rules and manuals. But sometimes they are very hard to respond instant local needs. They move very free way. But the centers, these centers should act beyond these administrative boundaries and go beyond very divisive practice of administration. And also, center have knowledge, and it should be hard for knowledge accumulation and dissemination about urban regeneration. Also, can be a hub for communication of different activities. And center should be innovative, because they are partly independent from the government. Sometimes they suggest some critical ideas, innovative ideas to government, and also can be the conduit to accept innovative ideas and voices from local people. And also, center should be local. So focusing on meeting the local lead with knowledge and local society, and the center for the human network in local society.
这边讲的就比较抽象的，就是地方就是这个都市再生中心它的价值以及它扮演的角色。那第一个就是行政的弹性啊，因为要超越原来的这种各部门工作的这样的划分。那第二是知识的累积，那同时他这边讲说知识的累积跟传播，那作为一个 hub 整合的平台的角色促进沟通。那第3个就是创新，而且这个创新是要把地方的智慧跟民众的一些声音变成是批判性的建议转给地方政府。那第4个就是延续刚刚讲的这个地方性的课题啊，怎么样去强化这个地方上的网络以及社会的一些活动，那让 这个地方对于知识的需求啊，能够被传达。
Okay, so many centers are now setting up. As you can see, this is one area or a neighborhood in the Seoul, Amsa. This is Cheonan City. This is Changshin, Sumin, and this is Changwi. And now it's open the center. No. I kept just 4 pictures. This is the. Yeah, I'm actually responding to your question from this sheet. Now we have 28 centers, but the number is fast increasing these days. The Seoul has 6 centers. There's no systematic, order in setting up center, because when they need, they just set up center. So there's no systematic order. Seoul has 6 centers, and Busan only 1 center in the whole citywide level. And Daegu, Sejong, Ulsan, Gwangju. This is the large metropolitan cities, and others are the province, Chungbuk, Chungnam, Jeonju. They have all their centers in the local cities. So as you can see, this is title, and this is the city. And as you can see, the establishment date is very recent. Mostly last year. Yeah, last year. Because the policy was studied very recently. The center was established in accordance of the policy. So we need to wait and see how these centers will actually contribute to the urban regeneration in the region.
我看到这个图就会吓一跳，因为韩国一旦那个法规通过了之后，其实速度是非常快。那大家可以看到，现在高峰是在14年跟15年，那它现在已经全国有28个都市再生中心。那首尔有6个，其他的主要城市釜山大邱，还有世宗，还有蔚山、光州，几乎每个大城市都有这样的中心。那他说，当然这刚创立，其实需要一点时间才能够看得出来，才能够检验他们的到底工作的如何。
Okay, now is the third part of my presentation. So what they are and who they are and what they are doing. And I surveyed and interviewed 16 centers among 28 centers in order to know the organization structure and budget and mode of operation and key activities and relationship between government. And I captured some of the results, some of the results from my researches. And if you look at the staff members very few. The fewest is just a small, just 3 staff members. They're having just 3 staff members. The largest is 16 members, but mostly less than 6 members. And their budget is around $50,000 per year, from $2 or $1.5 million. And in many cases, this budget is just for human, personal expenses, not including project, because budget for project comes directly from the local government and national government, not going through the organization. Sometimes it's going through the organization, but mostly this budget is just for the human resources. And if you look at the organization structure, there's a head of the organization, that has sometimes full-time, sometimes part-time. In many cases, this is part-time. So because they invite the university professor. In that case, it's a part-time. And director and team manager mostly in full-times, and other steps and full-times and part-times. So very diverse, diverse types.
先讲一下他们的人事结构啊，因为他访问了28个里面的16个哈，就发现他们大部分都是小型，那平均大概是大部分都是少于6个人，可是最大的是16个。那一年在人事费上的预算大概是150万台币到450万台币之间。那通常他们这个再生中心会有一个理事长，然后有秘书长。那理事长可能就是一个代表性人物，那他也可能是教授，所以都是比较多是 part time， 然后也有全职的。可是最重要核心的专职人员是那个秘书长，那他就coordinate所有事情，然后再来他有主要的工作人员，那以及有一些是可能是兼职的工作人员，这样的人事组成。
And the very important thing in setting up these centers is the mode of operation. There are 4 different types of operation. One is run by local government directly. This means the center is just part of government, local government. And the other one is run by commissioned civil actor. That means local government the contract with civil organization. Those civil organizations actually operate the center. And third type is run by commissioned public organization, not civil actors. That means local government have a contract with public organizations such as research center, research organizations, and corporations such as SH and LH in Korea. Perhaps in Taipei you don't have that kind of research organization, but in Korea we have many local research center, public research center, and local public corporations. So it's run by that kind of organization. Lastly, we set up the independent foundation to run to operate this center.
For this issue,
Yes.
这个很有趣，他就在讲，刚刚我报告的那个人事费哈，150万到450万，其实是只有人事了哈。那其他的执行的计划的预算是从另外来。然后现在这一章他讲的就是各种不同的这个都市再生推动中心它的制度上的角色，它怎么来的？那第一个很简单，就是政府直接经营的。我在地方政府直接经营，它就是公部门的一个组织。第二个是公部门有契约案发包给地方发包给社区团体或者是 NGO 来经营。那这个应该是有点像我们社造中心。那第三个就是台湾没有，就是公部门自己有公法人，也不是说我们没有，我们的状况很少。譬如说他们有首尔研究院。然后也有像它的就是国家层级中央的韩国国土研究中心，那地方也有很多像类似的研究机构，根据不同的政策就有不同研究机构，所以这有些地方政府是直接发包给他们，直接交由他们的公法人来经营。那第四个是针对这样的都市再生的议题，特别去成立一个基金会或委员会。可是，在韩国字眼里面，他们讲财团，可是财团其实是基金会 foundation。
This number means this is number established by these types of mode. The majority is run by local government, and that means for local government it's very urgent to apply the central government in the bidding process. So they just set up And then if they get some money from central government, perhaps they try to think more sincerely about how to operate this organization. Anyway, because at this time it's very urgent and indeed a very speedy way of operation. So I think they tend to set up this way, mostly this way. And there are some merits and demerits in each mode of operation. And the first type, the merits, is they have very stable position because their steps are actually the government officials, so very stable positions and very efficient because they are one body with the local government. But they all have the same demerits that local governments have because they're rigid, no expertise, lack of knowledge, commitment, no flexibility, no innovations. Even though sometimes they hire from local activists into their local government, but if they became the local government, they behave the same way because it's a logical organization. And second, I think it's a very more desirable way because they have expertise, innovative suggestions, network flexibilities. But they also have demerits because it has a lack of occupational stability because it's based on the contract, 1 year contract, 2 year contract. Nobody knows what happened next year, so unstable. And lack of efficiency because it's a kind of different body from the local government. It takes some time to negotiate, and sometimes it creates a conflict, kind of things. And run by commission public organization, they step support from public organization, the efficiency and expertise, but also these public organizations tend to be rigid, lack of commitment, lack of local engagement, lack of innovation. And lastly, the run by foundation. It's a way to find some occupational stability, even though it's away from the local government. But also it has some similar demerits. The local government has rigid, no flexibility, no commitment. They just behave like public officials. I'm sorry for public officials here. But I hope that it will be different from the Taipei government. But back in Korea, yeah. Okay.
他分析了刚刚讲这几个状况的优缺点哦，其实大家可以看到数字上最多的还是28个里面有18个是地方政府直接设置的。可是他说，这个都市再生推动中心，当时地方政府直接设置有个状况，就是因为要去争取中央的经费嘛，所以在这种状况下，他们直接就设置，因为效率最快，他还不用去找另外的团体等等。可是这样的状况之下，常常就是地方政府只是形式上设置了这个机构，但是对于他要怎么样操作，或者是创新性等等都没有太多的想法，那他就是复制了原来公部门的这样的一些逻辑。那他觉得比较好的应该是像跟委托给民间团体去经营。那这样子的话，我想优点大家都知道嘛，就是它网络一个平台也比较灵活。可是他们面对的就是不稳定性，譬如说几年甚至是每1年的一个契约等等。然后跟政府部门沟通中也比较难达到我们所谓的效率，因为消息传递可能比较慢，然后有时候还有冲突等等。 那第三个就是公法人，我们讲说没有，我们台湾比较少的这种形式，可是这个跟前面政府直接的一个机构出来其实是一样的，因为它就是政府一部分。那在他调查这个案例里面，有一个是政府为这个设立的一个基金会，可是这个基金会因为它是政府设立的，所以它状况其实跟公部门的状况也有点类似，就比较缺乏弹性，那创新性也比较不好。
Okay, this is the one example from the Cheongju Center, Cheongju City Centers. It's run by local civil group, but partially integrated with government officials. So among their steps, the government officials are dispatched as their steps. And there is steering committee as a governing body. This is governing body of the center. And head is a professor of local university. He's a part-time. And one director and 3 team managers and 6 staff members. It's quite big compared to other average centers in other local cities. Some, among managers, staff, some come from government and others hired by the civil group. So it's kind of corporate, incorporated, form. And there are 3 teams. So one is planning and coordination, and product support teams, and education PR teams. 3 teams.
他举重组这边设立的都市再生中心为例子哈，它是政府委托给地方 NGO 来经营的，可是里面有一些的人员是政府过去的所以他们形成了共同的这个团队。那有一个执行的委员会来负责运作这样。那他的理事长是一个地方的大学的教授，可是他是 part time， 他是兼职。那它里面分3个小组，里面这3个小组分别是协调小组以及企划组，还有教育、大众教育跟公关协调。
Okay, he is the head of the Cheongju City Centers, and this the photos I captured from the homepage of the center. They are educating people, and they are holding the local festivals, and they also set the vision for center in 2016 this year. I'm sorry this is written in Korean. But they say that their vision is making the resident community here and proceed urban regeneration centering on the life and culture. And in like this way, they are setting their own center's vision.
这是冲突那边的那个社区都市推动中心的一些未来愿景他们制定了一个2016年的愿景，也是以社区以及文化为主要的导向。
Actually, he is a university professor of Cheongju University, and he has a lot of trouble these days in negotiating the local merchant and the local government. And basically, yeah, he's doing good job.
那在冲突这边，因为就是地方的一些商人，我不知道实质上是状况怎样，就是也有一些冲突等等这些问题。可是那他们的中心就负责在审核出一些共识。
And this is a survey result among the 16 centers I surveyed. The original head of the centers. Academics majority professors and researchers, and civil activists and bureaucrats from this area come to the centers. And I asked the expertise of STEPS and STEPS expertise. Community empowerment is the largest, and the community business and urban development are following areas and others, and supporting merchants and supporting startups following as well.
他这里分析了他刚刚访问的18个这些社区都市再生推动中心，他的理事长最主要的负责人，其实18个里面有10个是大学里面的老师，那所以他们大部分 part time。那有2个是政府部门的，还有3个是从民间团体出任的。那还有他分析他们团队成员的专业哈，大部分是社区赋权 empowerment， 这 community empowerment 我们已经很熟悉这个字眼哈，社区培力的这个 staff 的背景是最多。然后第2个其实是支持地方的商业，所以就是为地方商业做规划。很像我比较了解，他刚刚讲的说他们冲突这边所处理的那个问题就是怎么样去复兴在地的经济啦。所以是处理在地经济，因为一开始讲那个衰退嘛，经济衰退等等，这是很重要的议题。还有第3个，我觉得第3个蛮有趣，是怎么样去支援刚刚形成的这些小的 startup， 就是创业机构。
Okay, then I asked then what they are doing and major activities. I found they focusing on community revitalizations, community empowerment, and networking and plan making. So basically, they cover a very diverse areas, as you can see here.
这个应该有回到，就是说他刚刚一开始讲说那个比较全面性的社会的跟经济的这些面向哈，所以他访问了这些人staff 说，那你们平常做哪些事情？所以你可以看到，就是社区的这个经济的再生活化是很重要的，大概是他们主要的任务。然后还有其他就是民主的参与啊，还有教育等等，还有社区企业。
Okay, I pick up some pictures about what they are doing. They are, education residents, and they holding festivals and researches about local assets to mobilize, and also they are trying to support this economy, especially focusing on merchants and the locals. And also, as I mentioned, the plan making, the support of plan making is a very key role of them. And networking, the public organization, private organization, national organizations, they try to network to facilitate urban regeneration.
这个图是大家可以看到那个比较整合性的他们的工作，包括教育啊，还有文化上的资源调查以及文化的活动基点，然后他们也做当地的发展计划，支援地方的经济，还有社会网络。
Okay, so important thing is how independent they are from the local government. I asked how much are you influenced by local government decision in terms of operating organization. So it's a very critical issue because it's funded by local government, but it needs some kind of distance from local government because because if not, there's no distance, there's no meaning, as a center. So they said they influenced heavily in some ways, but more than half their responses they influenced heavily and influenced a lot by local government. I think it's a quite natural phenomena in current time. But it also creates an issue of independence in the center. Some head of center said that like this, in reality, we are tightly controlled by the Department of Local Government. Since our budget comes from the department, we are commonly interfered by the officials. This is one of the difficulties in our job.
所以他访问了18个 都市再生推动中心哦，就是包括刚刚他讲的那4种类型的都在里头。然后他问的是重要问题是说，他想要了解这个中心它的独立性如何，因为他觉得既然不是政府，为什么不是政府直接执行这些机构？你设立一个中心，就是它要连接不同的团体，所以不是直接执行政策，有一些是由下往上去回馈这些政策，或者是修改政策，所以那个自主性非常的重要。那他问的问题就是说，你觉得你被政府的决策影响的程度是如何？所以那可以看得到那个严重影响的是蓝色嘛，然后被影响很多是橘色，然后粉红色的是有一点受到影响。那所以大部分的团体其实是觉得它在过程当中还是非常受到那个地方的政府的，其实不只是影响，它这边用的字是很紧密的一些控制吧。那因为他说主要的经费是来自于政府，所以呢就是公部门其实会常常去影响他们的决策，那这是工作上就困难的部分。
I asked that question only toward these, these 3 types. Because this one is already one body, so there's no need to ask.
So that makes sense.
Yeah,
that makes sense. 所以他是问那其他几个，就是不是政府直接设置的，是公法人或者他委托民间团体，所以其实中间也包括他后来讲说政府去设立的基金会，或者是那个公法人机构等等。
Okay, this is some difficulties they feel, so they express it like this way in interview to me. This is very difficult to plan our own project to respond various and instantly to instant local needs, because government strictly requires what they want to do, and it's an issue of independence. And government always want to see tangible results in a given period. But it's hard to show how much community are improved by our project. So it's a kind of evaluation issues about centers of what centers achieve. And centers do not have enough budget to do given task. We need more budget and proper manpower. It's an issue of budget. And working in a center is a pretty demanding job. It requires a lot of commitment and sacrifice. But the problem is that the job is so unstable. So nobody knows what will happen next year. So this is a career vision related issue.
所以那3个团体里面的工作人员的回答，最主要的困难呢，第一个就是那个政府会很紧密的想要去用原来的送上去的计划来检视这个工作嘛，所以民间团体可是在现实的工作上，其实中间执行上其实是有一些落差的，或者是说政府想要在短时间、具体的时间里面看到具体的成果，可是社区工作很难用这样的状况来衡量。那还有最后2个，就是有一方面是根据是预算，因为在现实中工作常常会发现给定的预算跟想要达成的目标而言，预算还是不够。另一方面就是刚刚所提到的 project based 的1年1年的这样计划，其实对于工作人员来讲很不稳定，那他们就有一种生涯的不安全感。
Okay, lastly, I wrap up my talk today by saying the future policy directions. How to evaluate this new attempt? I think it's a very meaningful attempt because it tried to do input from civil society when we pursue the policy goal. The center is one way of cooperate between government and civil society. I think it's a very good way to utilize civil society's capacity and knowledge. And also, this is the way to make policy to be localized and to be closer to citizens, because local government and central government is hard to be closer to citizens without help of civil society. And it also ways to provide new jobs for activists in the locals.
先讲一下他对于都市再生这个新的政策有什么样的评语啊？第一个就是至少这是一个很好的取向，是因为有市民社会的一些影响在里面，那让政府跟市民社会中间有一个合作的可能性，那能够活用市民社会的一些能量跟知识，那这个对韩国规划其实很重要。那同时它能够让政府更接近地方以及市民的需求。还有一点是，它能够让这个地方的工作者嘛，或者中国大陆叫积极分子，我们叫 activist， 就是组织者、运动者，能够有一些新的工作的机会。
And also there are many remaining issues. First of all, centers are very weak, small and unstable to be an equal partner of government at the moment. And center needs to secure trust from local society. At this moment, many local people think the center is just a tool for project or tool for government, not tool for us. So this is the issue. Center is really tool for project, tool for government, or tool for local society. So after the end of the government subsidy, center should be, operated continuously. So this is very important moment to do so. And also, as I mentioned before, there is the issue of independency, instability, and bureaucratization. It means, if you invite civil activists into the government, and they start to bureaucratize. That's one of the issues. And some people say it's a part of co-optation. Co-optation means, some local activists always critical about the local government, and then actually local government invite them to the government project. So there's no one now to critically, voice against the local government in local society. This is one of the issues in this policy in Korea.
这些部分好像台湾都很熟悉，我们很容易了解啊，因为就是组织太小太弱哈，然后很难跟政府平起平坐，然后有对等的这个合作。然后第二就是那个地方社会又怀疑你说，地方团体又怀疑你说，那你到底是政府的工具，还是能够被我们地方所用，代表我们讲话？然后还有一些状况是因为刚刚他讲到说这些都要运作的人，还有像组织这些团体重要的人嘛，有一些是民间学者或者是运动组织分子出任的。那在以前就是他们是批评政府很主要的这些人，但是进了这个再生推动中心之后呢，到底他是有人就觉得说这是被政府收编了，就不再有批判的声音。
Okay, this is the last slide. There are things to be considered. One is mode of operations. Currently run by government is majority, as I mentioned, because government wants to achieve quick result with small budget. But run by government is a worst way of operation. So when you think of the cooperation between government and civil society, there's this flexibility, innovation, locality, as I mentioned before. And one issue is also about how to improve independence. There is a certain distance, from government is key for effective operation of the centers to improve the independence, enhancing civil society, and activating steering committee as a governing body are needed. This is one way of doing. And also, government should understand the unique features of the center as a tool for government, civil society cooperation. I'm saying this to the Korean local government, not Taipei government.
这个是他最后一张的PowerPoint，它里面总结就是 未来的一些建议啊。第一个就是他发现说，如果政府直接去设置这个都市再生推动中心，其实是最不好的做法。不过吴这样也听起来很高兴，就是我们社区营造中心在当时其实设置这个取向是正确的嘛。那他说未来如何改善，就是我们最关心的那个独立性哈，那个在中心的一个独立性。那他觉得要跟政府部门有一定的距离，这是重要的。那同时也这个让它能够有效的运作。可是要增加这个独立性，有一个建议是可以用一个像执行小组的这样的方式啊，不断的讨论，去让那个去检视这个中心运作的方向。那我想我们可能比较少做这个，因为我们委托一个案子出去，他们就有自己工作人员在进行。那我们是用一个审查的方式再回来看他们执行进度。那他是建议说，这个中心本身他们就自己设立一个执行委员会，他不是工作人员，但他们有一群的人帮他们去检视他的运作的状况。然后他说政府就应该要了解这个。政府跟民间部门合作的时候的某些特殊的状况，然后对这样的状况能够想出比较好的方式，有更弹性的做法。以上是他今天的简报，谢谢大家，请大家再给一些时间。